Donald Trump gave an entirely staged speech to imaginary UAW workers. This is like nearly North Korean type propaganda. So let's look at a video to remind ourselves why Trump was denied the ability to come grift to the UAW workers who are currently on strike.
Same thing with the unions.
That's right.
They get their little 5%. They get another 2%. They get another 3%, 4%. Then all of a sudden they're making more money than the people that own the company. Same thing with the unions.
That's right.
I mean, it's hilarious, right? He's like, these fucking union workers are so greedy. You give them a 1% raise, all of a sudden they're asking for a 5% raise. Next thing you know, they're making fucking almost more money than me out here. These greedy union workers asking for raises. Why won't they just fall in line and, assume what they, to me, inherently are, which are peasants who deserve to serve the aristocracy. As we can see, Trump rightfully denied access to speak to the auto workers by the UAW because the UAW rightfully knows that Trump would just abolish the NLRB and just allow corporations to, break up attempts at unionizing by force. So Trump decides, well, I'll just stage an entire speech and still the entire time pretend like I'm speaking to union workers right now. So he goes to this shop, Drake Enterprise. This shop is not unionized. These are not union workers. Also, there was 500 people at this event. This particular factory employs 125 people. Local news stations were at the event asking people like, hey, are you a UAW worker? No. Are you a UAW worker? No. They couldn't find anybody at the event who was a union worker. But also, in the crowd, there were non-union workers and also just Trump supporters who don't even work at this factory, holding up Union Members for Trump signs. The local news stations talked to some of the people holding up the Union Members for Trump signs, and one of them literally just said, I'm not even in a union. Corporate news, by the way, failed heavily on reporting this because Donald Trump said he was going to speak to union workers after it was clear that he had been denied by the UAW to do so. And then the corporate news stations just believed him, which is hilarious because anything Trump says has to be verified because most of what he says is just a lie. They should know this at this point. Obviously, Fox News is just going to coddle his balls no matter what. But like MSNBC and CNN, they should at least double check this shit. Like if Trump says something, you immediately have to verify it. He says the shit he says that is just a lie is orders of magnitude greater than the shit he says that has even a kernel of truth to it. So here's Trump literally pretending he's talking to UAW workers.
But I'm thrilled to be back with the workers, UAW members, and proud patriots of the great state of Michigan. Great state, great people. Here in Michigan and across the country tonight, there are countless thousands of auto workers and skilled tradesmen worried about the future and what the future holds for themselves and for their incredible families.
Now, luckily, we know what the future would hold if Trump was elected again, as far as his economic policy. Because we know that during Trump's presidency, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. to offshoring. And then also, those corporations who offshored those 200,000 jobs were awarded $425 billion in government contracts. Now, his entire speech here, I'm obviously, it's an hour long of Trump just, just making up conspiracy theories that he knows his supporters will not ask for evidence for. He says over and over again in the speech that the Biden administration is going to offshore your jobs to China. The electric vehicles that companies that are getting subsidies from the government right now are required in order to get those subsidies to manufacture electric vehicles here. Also, the UAW, part of the things they're looking for in their contract are assurances that those jobs created by the electric vehicle industry will be here and will be unionized. But I gotta play this next clip because, during his first term, if you would have asked me, is Donald Trump, ideologically a fascist? I would have said, I don't think so. I think there are people in the Republican Party, many of whom are leaders. I think many organizations within and who fund and donate and organize within the Republican Party are ideologically fascist. And I would have told you that Donald Trump just knows he can placate to those people, but I don't think he has an ideology at all. I think his ideology is just let me get the most attention and power that I can get. But I think he's been around these people for so long that he has actually absorbed the ideology that he started off placating to. So let's listen to Trump talk about good old economic nationalism.
That's why I'm here tonight to lay out a vision for a revival of economic nationalism and our automobile manufacturing lifeblood, which they're sucking out of our country.
Economic nationalism. So not only is our boy Donnie T here literally staging a propaganda speech, pretending he's talking to union workers, he also, in the first 3 minutes of the speech, just goes straight to fascism, right away. He's absorbed, he's in on the ideological foundation now, He's pretty, they've got him. The Freedom Caucus, people like that, the Heritage Foundation, all of these organizations, they got him. He's bought in. Of course, the reason we can call this fascistic is because we know this is exactly what Hitler did. Hitler used populist pro-worker rhetoric to gain the support of people who were sympathetic to socialist and communist parties in Germany. He did this while the conservative economic elite in Germany helped him gain power democratically. Once he came into power, after pretending like he gave a fuck about labor, immediately reneged on all of those promises he made to laborers and immediately empowered all the corporations who were funding his campaign and helping him build out his propaganda machine, as long as those corporations were economically beneficial to the nation. And also, at the very least, complicit and at the most directly involved in the Holocaust. When I see shit like Trump saying shit like economic nationalism, and then also we have other shit like Project 2025, which is the right's plan to destroy the entire administrative state should a Republican be elected to president, to give the president no checks and balances and far more direct power. This is not good. It's not great. You know? The problem is, like, in Trump's first term, he's a bumbling idiot. You know, he's stupid. He's incompetent. He's also, you know, they talk about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Yes, it is true. Trump also has a gaffe every time he gives a speech now. So if it was just him, I wouldn't be as worried. But now he has an entire structural push behind him to help offset his systemic incompetence. And then him also adopting the ideology by saying shit like economic nationalism, and also saying shit like we should just summarily execute people who are shoplifting. Shit like that is not encouraging if he were to win the presidency. Meanwhile, the other Republicans in the last debate answered every question by the moderators by saying, let's invade Mexico. And then like Nikki Haley and Tim Scott arguing about like why Nikki Haley kept up the curtains that Obama ordered, you know, like that. So none of them are gonna they have no shot. More Perfect Union had John Russell out there at this event asking people like, hey, where are the auto workers at right now? Where are the auto workers at? And every person he walked up to was like, I think they're coming, you know? Like they're probably on their way. Like all of these people also assumed that this was for union auto workers. Like none of them went there and were like, wait, am I being duped right now? Am I being played for a fool? It seems to me like there's no United Auto Workers here. None of them. None of them. Everybody there just fully invested in the cult. Like, whatever our Pharaoh says, we abide by. He says there's UAW workers here. I don't see any of them. There's literally, like, this is the best time for direct evidence of whether the thing I'm believing is correct or not. And there is no direct evidence here, but the Pharaoh says that there are UAW workers here, and everything our God King says is the truth. Because he's been endowed by God to be here, to lead the nation in this plan of economic nationalism. You know, like that's how you know it's a cult. It's fully a cult. He's taking full advantage of it. The United States, I think you got to look for the silver lining here. And the silver lining is, yes, if the Republicans win, they're going to completely undermine democracy and we'll live in an ethno-state. Some of us will. But the United States can make it into the Guinness Book of World Records for having hosted the biggest cult in the history of the world.